Hi everyone, this is Trevor DeVore for Screen Steps, and I am back with another screencast about the DataView control helper that I recently announced and talked about in my last screencast. In this screencast, I want to show you, give you an update on the work I've been doing. There is a new dialog that helps you add a DataView control to your applications, and makes it really simple to get the DataView created, get some row templates set up that you can start customizing and actually get something productive working in your application. So in this screencast, what I'm going to show you how to do is add the helper to your Lavur application, how to create a DataView using the new command that's available in the Live Code IDE, populate it with some test data. I'm going to show you how to customize row templates, because DataView, you can actually have different styles of templates that are used for different rows in the DataView. I'm going to show you how to do that, and hopefully it'll give you enough information that if you want to try it out in your Lavur application, it'll be easy to get started. So let's jump right in. I have a Lavur application that I've created over here in this Finder window. You can see the structure of it, and I'm just going to add the DataView helper to the helpers folder, because once I add it to that folder, then it automatically becomes available. So I'm going to download the zip file from the Git repo site, and then just drop that zip file into the helpers folder and unzip it and rename it so it looks a little better. And here you can see that these are all the files that the DataView control uses. And I've added an IDE folder, and that's what we're going to kind of focus in on today. And that's some code and some stacks that only get loaded into the IDE, and they kind of help with creating DataViews now into your apps. So now that I've got the DataView added, I can launch Live Code, and I'll open the standalone stack. And get this application to open up. Now this is the default sample window, and this will work just fine for our purposes. I'm going to make it resizable, make it a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you there is an IDE library script that automatically gets loaded. And what we're going to do is we'll edit that. I'm just going to make it the frontmost stack here. And we'll take a look at the script. Now there are some handlers in here. The one that we're interested in is this dvide create DataView control using dialog. Nice and short, but it's very clear what it does. We're not going to pass it any parameters, but I'm going to bring the stack that I want to create the DataView on to the front, and then I'm just going to call this command in the message box. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually I'm going to create this DataView, and I'm going to use what's called the DataView array controller behavior. And what this does is this is a behavior that sits on top of the standard DataView behavior, and it allows me to assign an array to the DataView and to be able to display that really easily. If you saw the last screencast, there's also a DataView tree behavior that you can use if you want to display trees, tree controls in a DataView, and there's also one for database cursors, and you really, the sky's the limit. You can create any kind of behavior you want to sit on top of it. The DataView is the foundational control that you can build all sorts of great things on top of. So I'm going to initialize this with an array controller, and I'm just going to call it my DataView. Now I have a couple options here in this dialog. The first one is to create a row template, and what this is the dialog will automatically create a stack with a group on it that will be used to represent each row in the DataView. And I'm actually going to create two templates. One default, which is kind of the default template that most rows will use. I'm also going to create a divider row, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And I'm going to create a behavior for the developer. And what I'm doing is checking this script, and this is just going to assign, it's going to create a stack behavior script and assign it to this DataView control that I'm creating. And that's a place where I can put my application specific code if I want to. Now if I didn't want to work in behaviors, then I could just add code directly to the group control. DataView controls just a group, specialized group, and you can add your code directly to that if you want to. I like to work in behavior scripts because I work under version control a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and create that. So what happened here is you can see this my DataView row templates stack was created, and there's two groups on it. And you remember I created a default. The styles I defined in the dialog were default and divider. And you can see that there's a group for each one of those. Now this stack got placed in the templates folder. You can see it here. That's all the code UI stack for it. And templates folder, that's a folder where you can store UI stacks that are that they'll never have passwords applied to them when you package up your app, and so they're treated a special way because you need to. What happens is that when the DataView populates, let's get rid of this dialog. When this DataView populates with data, copies of these groups are made and brought into the DataView. And if the stack was password protected, that would not work. So anyways, you'll find them under templates right there. And then they've also been assigned, there's a special view prop associated with the DataView called row style templates. And you hear default and divider. And so the keys are default and divider, and the values point to these groups. So all that work was done behind the scenes by our little dialog. So let's see how this works. I have some test code here that we can run in the message box. And you can see that DataView gets populated. It just takes the labels I used, it writes out the row numbers, and I've got something that works right from the get-go. So now that we have that working, let's look at how we can do some customization. I'm going to customize these row templates just a little bit, and then I'll be back to talk about what I did and how we can use them. All right, I'm back, and I've made a couple of changes to the DataView templates that I was working with. I'm going to show you what those are really quick. You can see here that I've modified this second row template, the template that's associated with the divider row style. And I've removed the text label, and I just added a divider line. It's a little graphic, and I named it divider, and I changed the background to just plain white. In the sample it comes with, the background has an inner glow applied to it, just so it's obvious there's a background there. I've just made it white, and we could do the same. Actually, let's just do the same here, and make that white as well. Look a little cleaner. And so now what I can do, I also should tell you, I modified the behavior script. So there's this, there's a script associated with each row template. And so I customized this one. I had to remove the fill-in data that came with it, and I had to update layout control so that this divider got resized. Originally there was code in here that would set the text of a field to the label field in the row. And so I removed that, and I'm resizing the graphic, and that was it. That was all I had to change. And so now what I can do is, you saw in my original code here in the message box, I just filled in 4 lines with a label, and that automatically populated this row template, which assigned, you can see it assigns each label to the field right here. Let's modify this a bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a line in the middle that adds it. I'm just going to assign a style to it. So the array controller that I'm using, if you pass in a key that has the @ sign and style, then it will assign that style to the row template. Now the reason it uses the @ sign instead of just style, well, maybe you're using some data where style is a word, is a key in your data. And so we don't want to have a conflict there, so you just use the @ sign. So now let's see what happens when I fill in this data view. Well, what you see is, we should do dispatch reset view to group my data view. So what happened is the templates already existed for lines 1 through, for these 4 lines here. The data grid does not copy, and it keeps a cache of controls, and then it reuses those as needed. So let's reset it though. So when you call reset view, it'll refresh the cache. So here you can see now I have lines 1 and 2, but then there's this divider pops up right in the middle, and then it has lines 4 and 5. So you can, as you can see, each row can have a style. It uses the default style, this guy here, if I don't assign a style to the row. But then this allows you to do highly customized user interfaces when you're doing lists. The alternative would be to try to put this divider line into a single row template and then show and hide elements as needed. But this is a much cleaner way of customizing the user interface, where you might have to mix, you might be mixing text and icons and dividers and different things like that. And this makes it, you might even have spacing, right? A row that just you just want it there to provide some padding between two different sections. But that's you can do all that with these styles. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this screencast on creating DataView helpers. Using this new dialog, you should be able to easily add a DataView to your Liver application. It'll configure all the row templates for you, and you can jump right in and start customizing and tweaking the DataView so that it meets your project's needs. Whenever you have a user interface that needs a highly customized list that uses controls and various things, the DataView is a great foundation to build on. I hope you'll give it a try.